Welcome to Diamonds in the Rough, the show where we listen to video game music from past to present and discover some hidden gems along the way. In this episode, we're doing something a little different. In the studio with me today, I've got Florez and Sunny, who are hosts of the popular podcast Get Sidetracked. It's a podcast which covers topics from peanut butter to potholes and everything in between. And they're well on their way to 100 episodes. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's awesome, yeah.
It's been a long time coming, but we've finally got there.
Yeah,
Well,
finally.
Yeah. we wanted to get you on a lot longer before that.
It'll happen.
Thank you for sponsoring our podcast episodes earlier on in the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you cover a lot of things there that don't often cross into the video game realm. Is that right?
I think a lot of our conversation doesn't really move into the video game aspect of things, but we do talk about it sometimes, but mainly it's just, I think, stuff that's
At this point,
just like
it's more
day-to-day conversations about what happens.
It's more about guests, like, because we've transitioned from a 3-man podcast to 2 of us as guests. We kind of get them to sort of lead what topics they want to talk about. So, like, obviously, if you came on, it'd probably be a very
video game oriented.
So it's really like we're out there to talk about pretty much anything, which is
and it always helps when you get to learn about your guests, and then everyone's interested in what someone else has to say about something. So
everyone's got a story, which is awesome.
Yeah,
because they bring another aspect to every episode, which is probably
and their own personalities. And everyone's personality is different, which it carries really well along the whole show, because you get to see everyone's weird side or funny side or serious side. Not really. We're never really serious about anything.
On occasion.
On occasion. Yeah.
And so, I mean, you're coming. What episode are you up to at the moment? Like, you're on the way to 100.
Yeah. So we just dropped episode 62.
Yeah, 62.
Right. Yeah. So that takes a bit of discipline, and so it's weekly.
Yeah, it's a weekly podcast.
Comes out every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m.
Yeah, every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m.
And we've got a whole bunch of Instagram and Facebook. We put a lot of stuff up, but
links in the comments below.
Yes,
as always.
yes.
Always.
But we try to be consistent, because content's key.
Content is key. Yeah.
That's what the fans want. But we're here now. We're here now, and
a booger on my nose.
Yeah, it's great.
and we're trying. It's a different format, and it's going to be definitely more off the cuff here. And you're the first guest that we've had on Diamonds in the Rough.
Yeah.
But the motivation, I guess, here was looking at. Everyone's got their own story, as you've just said, and everyone's got their own gaming story as well. And there are a lot of diamonds in the rough in terms of music and games, but games as well. And given the volume of games out there from the 70s to today, it's almost impossible to cover them all. So
100%,
yeah. Well, where did you guys begin? What was your first console?
Oh, well, I think the first ever, video game technology that I can remember having was a Macintosh.
Yep.
With the cartridges at the back, and you plug the cartridge in. And I remember playing this one game where you're a clown on a bicycle and you got to balance some 3 balls on your head.
God.
And I think I was maybe 6 years old when I first ever played it.
Yep.
And I think that's why I got in a lot of trouble, because every single time it was past my bedtime, I'd sneak out and then chuck it on and try and beat my records.
Look, it's the same story the world over. And Dan, what about you?
Yeah, I gaming wise, I'd played a lot of games from early childhood. So being from Colombia, my mum would have. She's a Spanish teacher, and so she'd have a lot of beginners
learning how to read.
Yeah, learning games. And so I remember just playing
entertainment.
Entertainment. I like that. Yeah.
But we'd proper games. I used to play on I think it was like an old school, early 90s, not Mac, Microsoft. And so a lot of it would be, I remember this one specific game that you'd kind of you'd download off somewhere. It was like from the library. You'd buy a game, you download from the disc, CD-ROM, right?
Yeah.
It was called Jill.
Jill of the Jungle?
I think so, and it's kind of like a 2D platformer. It's very pixelated, and so I played Jill for a lot, a lot of times, and I remember vividly, if I close my eyes now, I remember vividly where the computer was, and just sitting there, and it was quite dark.
Yep.
Where I was, so like the colors and everything would always pop out of me. So it's just super vivid, super weird. But yeah, that would probably be one of the first games I've ever
You're like
played.
one of those weird child like hackers that are just sitting in the room with just everything's off, but you're literally just playing a video game.
Yeah. But no, like I guess if we're going console, it'd be like the NES.
Right.
NES,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So playing my cousins, I have older cousins, and they'd play a lot of like RoboCop, old school like
that was a
Super,
good game.
Super
I remember
Mario.
that
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Yes.
We played Contra,
Yep.
Double Dragon,
Yep.
like Punch Out, which
Punch
was
Out.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I remember vividly playing all those games.
Yeah, well, no, and that's it's interesting you mentioned Punch Out actually, because so I asked you guys to put together a list of your 10 top, or at least 10 key tracks that you remember, and we're sort of moving through roughly in a chronological kind of order here, but it's not too hard and fast.
No.
And so the first track that you put forward was the Overworld theme for Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah, that was mine.
That's, I've actually been hearing this theme a lot recently because I've been giving it a shot on the Game Boy Advanced, completely randomly, just dug it out, dusted it off,
Yeah.
and it's hard.
Blew the cartridge and
Yeah,
everything.
with classic, and no backlight. So
Yeah. Like when your kids are just waiting for every street lamp to come past.
it's gaming's come a long way, but that song almost everybody knows. And you mentioned Punch Out before, actually. So the music for Super Mario Brothers 2 is done by Koji Kondo, and so he's one of the giants at Nintendo.
He's the classic, isn't he?
is,
He did the original Super Mario.
Yes, so he's done. He's had a hand in almost every Super Mario
Wow.
product.
Oh,
Even
wow.
to like today?
Right up to say even Super Mario Tennis.
Oh, wow.
Paper Mario. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, then also
quite a
you've got-
resume.
it's huge.
Yeah.
And so he's a veteran of the scene, but he also did the music for Punch Out. Also, it's just a
Cool.
reference back there, and of course the Zelda series.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah,
80s as well.
Yeah, cool.
So it's everyone's. Most people have heard it before, and we'll play it now. I'm going to play a slightly different version, a fantastic little jazz cover that I discovered earlier on this week. So here's the Super Mario Brothers 2 Overworld theme by Koji Kondo. that was the Super Mario Brothers Overworld theme. Fantastic jazz cover there. And for those that don't know, Super Mario Brothers 2 started life as Doki Doki Panic, which was a game completely unrelated to the Mario franchise, and was
Holy shit!
and was developed to be used at the Fuji Television's company's expo in 1988.
Oh.
And only later on did they, when they were looking around for a sequel for Mario Brothers, did they take that game and all they did was reskin it. So the Japanese characters there are just swapped out with Mario and Luigi, Toad and Peach.
That's wild.
Yeah, and then
crazy.
very little else changed. But there are two key characters. So the Shy Guy and Birdo, who you see them all over the place.
Yeah.
They actually came from Doki Doki Panic.
Right.
And they kept them in, and they've become the part of the Mario roster. So.
Yeah, right.
Fuck, that's dope.
The reason why I chose that song is because that's one of the only, that and Nintendo 64 Super Mario 64, are the only two Mario games that I ever finished.
But yeah, so that's a good way to start it. Nintendo, plenty of it, but we'll change tack now. So Sonny has put forward Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Casino Night Zone. I'm a huge Sonic fan. I fought on the Sega side of the console wars. What's your motivation here?
Why did I play Sonic? Because my parents got me a console.
Sonic, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I didn't get a choice in the matter. I was super young, and my parents were like, "Oh, here's a console, and here are two games.
Yes.
One that already comes with the console,
Alex
which
the
is
Kid.
inbuilt, Alex the Kid, and then here's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and that was it. And that's all I had.
That's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
I remember going to Tandy with Dad, and I don't remember asking my parents. I mean, I guess I must have, but Dad took me to Tandy down at the city. It's no longer there.
Yeah.
And I got the Master System, and it came with Alex the Kid packed in, and then Sonic was the other.
It was the other game. Yeah.
And that's where it all began. And from then, you couldn't really. Sega then had to be the best thing because that's what you owned. But yeah, so no, Casino Night Zone, and so this is, there's a few versions of this, and the one that I've got here is from the Mega Drive actually. So we're talking 1992 now. Sonic 2 itself has sold over 6 million copies. You can play it on iOS. You can play it on Nintendo hardware now. Obviously, it feels weird doing it, but
It does, yeah.
yeah, still glad to be able to do it.
Sonic and Mario Olympics.
Yeah, that's an interesting story in itself. But yeah, so this is Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Casino Night Zone, composed by Masato Nakamura. Here we go. All right, so up next we have a song from Final Fantasy VII. Now, this is one of the biggest franchises on PlayStation and one of the longest-running game franchises, full stop.
It's huge.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
like up to, what, Final Fantasy 15? 15 just came out?
It's got to be up there.
I think so. Yeah, I think the newest one was 15. You know, I'm going to live fact check that.
Live fact.
Fun fact, I've never played one Final Fantasy.
You are
game.
missing out in life.
That's no, in a similar boat. But actually, I was pleased when I saw the list that you sent across. So I've just seen, it was 2 weeks ago, I've come from a Final Fantasy concert at Llewellyn Hall here in
that's
Canberra.
right.
Yeah, I was just telling you about that. I'm so jealous.
Yeah,
I didn't even hear that.
and they played the song that you've picked here. So so it's an epic piano solo.
Yeah.
Really, really well done. So it's a New Worlds, and Distant Worlds is the other CD that these guys produce. There's something about the way that Japanese composers do Western style music that is hard to put your finger on what is odd about it. It's very romanticized. I'm not going to say cliche, but there's something about it where you can generally tell that as a Japanese classical composer doing a Western style piece of music. And the Final Fantasy VII battle theme is exactly that. So let's listen to it now. was Those Who Fight from Final Fantasy VII, and that was Benjamin Nuss on the piano.
That was so dope.
Always looking for different takes on the songs that you know well as well, and that was a good example.
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
Exactly that. So up next, and when I asked for a list of 10 from both of you, I knew. I knew that Daniel was going to pick something from Banjo Kazooie.
Just such a good game.
Every time I ask him for a recommendation, it always comes back to something from Banjo Kazooie, and rightly so. I mean, it's an N64 classic, one of the best games on the platform, and a lot of the people working on it provided the voice talent for it. So
Yeah.
Grant Kirkhope, who scored the music there, he's also the voice of Mumbo Jumbo, Bottles,
Sick.
Captain Blubber, and the Jinjos.
True. That game, I spent many hours playing that game, and just it was such an awesome platformer that
Yes.
you hadn't really for me, I hadn't really seen before.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just going through each of the and I think this is where with Banjo Kazooie was where my love for soundtracks for movie scores or game scores came from, because it just they nailed it on the head with Chris, what's his name?
Grant Kirkhope.
Grant Kirkhope just nailed every single song.
Yes.
Because it gave you the feel of what you're playing in. How do you portray Rust as music? Rusty and clanky, and that's what he did. It's super clanky
yes.
music, and it just plays so well with it.
Yeah.
Including there's a part in the game, in that level, that you have to sound the horn of the ship in different orders to get the right.
Oh, true.
To get
So music puzzle.
the
That's,
music puzzle. Yeah, it was awesome.
And then obviously you've got Zelda Ocarina of Time as
Did
relies.
Grant Kirkhope too?
No, that was Koji Kondo as well.
Yeah.
But the idea of using a musical pattern as a puzzle within a game,
Yeah.
you can go right the way back to say Loom. I think LucasArts, almost edutainment, very similar to the first Monkey Island. Use the same engine. Yeah, you had to cast a set of spells using notes, basically.
Ah, cool.
But so the Grant Kirkhope there, he just finished doing GoldenEye, moved onto this. and-
GoldenEye.
Yeah.
GoldenEye was a fun soundtrack.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was sick,
He's quality composer, and with Banjo Kazooie, what he does especially well, and we were talking about this a little while ago, where moving through different seasons within a level will change the style of the music.
So it's the same. It's essentially the same note structure, but each season has
a different
the flavor.
sound.
It's like summer will be chirpy, nice. Winter's super chill and it's super
It's
crazy,
a full immersion.
Yeah. And
Just-
it's leading up to the point. I mean, it happens all the time now. In games we play today, that kind of thing we sort of take for granted, but. Really pioneered with LucasArts doing the iMuse system, which is where you have basically music that's triggered or sequences or flavors of music that are triggered by the sequence of events or your location, and that's certainly what he does well, and that's what adds gives Banjo Kazooie that extra punch.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That was Treasure Trove from Banjo Kazooie, another Grant Kirkhope classic.
Treasure Trove Cove.
Treasure. What did I say? Trove Treasure Cove.
Who's that Treasure Trove Coco? I totally misheard everything.
Either way, it was good. Up next, we have a song that I hadn't thought about for a while. This game had a reboot last year, actually, and it's available to play for free. Its popularity in Korea is unmatched. Some people say that 1 in every 3 South Korean households has a copy.
Oh, wow.
And that may just be from sale.
That's a lot of people to have a copy of this game.
Yes. And it is why the people that do well at this game are considered superstars.
Yeah.
As many of you would have seen. And if you haven't, look it up on YouTube. It's crazy. Set in the 26th century. It was released in 1998. And that game is StarCraft. The music was composed by Glenn Stafford, Jason Hayes, and Tracy Bush. And if you've played any of the Warcraft or World of Warcraft or Diablo 3, you'll know their work. They're Blizzard's
Go-to composers.
Go-to. They're and for good reason as well. StarCraft.
Yeah. So StarCraft came to me when my dad bought I think our first ever like Windows computer, and I don't know. I think Dad got a game with it when he got it, and it just happened to be StarCraft. Mm-hmm. And the amount of hours I sunk into StarCraft, not even like because I was good at it. I only ever played the computer, but I went through that campaign, like every single campaign, probably about 7 or 8 times.
Right.
And like the reason why I picked this song is because it just reminded me so much of how like the playthrough value I had for this game, right? Just was like, even though I know the story, I was like, I'm just really into like how I just love the whole space.
That was the StarCraft Terran theme there from StarCraft 1, and you can hear a twang of the American-style country and western music there as well. Tough times, challenging times, but one of the top sellers on the PlayStation, over 9 million copies when it was released. And the fourth best-selling PlayStation game of all time.
Oh wow!
Yep. And I knew Dan was going to pick this one as well. So this is music from Tekken 3. Tell me about Tekken 3.
Tekken in general, but Tekken 3 was a big standout for music. Just loved it. Yeah.
No, and Tekken 3 was known by most people that I talked to. It was they put a lot of money into the advertising. There are a lot of promotions, and Tekken 3 stands out.
Better mechanics, better look. Everything felt better. Like Tekken 2 kind of did all right, but Tekken 3, new characters, new feel, like just everything.
And I feel like Tekken was like a lot of people's first foray into fighting game.
It's interesting actually. So there's 5 or over 5 composers actually that worked on the music for Tekken 3.
Wow.
Two key ones that did the music for the arcade version, and that's Nobuyoshi Sano and Keiichi Okabe. And they also worked on the PlayStation version along with a number of others. I couldn't actually work out who did the music specifically for the arranged version of Law's theme, but we're going to listen to it now and enjoy it anyway. next, Total Change of Pace. A game that has been out for a little while. It's a game that's underrated. It follows the brawler format that had been established with the first game, Arkham Asylum. It was released on PC, PlayStation, Wii U, and Xbox 360. It wasn't reviewed as favourably as the other titles, but it's underrated in my opinion, and well put together. The music to Batman Arkham Origins takes cues from Danny Elfman's original work, as well as Hans Zimmer's versions in the newer Batman movies. Daniel, you've picked this one?
Yeah, and as you said, it wasn't as everybody thought it was like the worst out of the four, but that's because it was a different game company that created that one,
yes.
right? Because it was Rocksteady for the first two and the last one. So
yes.
Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and then Arkham Knight.
Yes.
Arkham Origins was created by a different gaming company. The theme and Christopher Drake bringing in his like influence into that whole game was amazing. Like
yes.
It was perfect. There's like I had a choice between this, the main theme, which I love, is by far one of my most favorite like soundtracks. But Carol of the Bells is the Joker's theme.
Yes,
and it's just amazing. Like
no, and at risk of dating the this podcast, we're coming up to Christmas now, and the whole game is set on Christmas Eve, and it does a remarkable job of taking something that is so positive and so friendly and turning it into a nightmare.
Yeah.
So here's the Arkham Origin main titles. That was the Arkham Origin main titles from the 2013 game Batman Arkham Origins.
yes.
Classic. You can't get much better than that, really.
Epic, absolutely epic. That's all I can explain about it because it's just so and it's like I was just saying, it's my alarm clock.
The next track is pretty epic as well. Sunny's picked this one. This is the track DOTA II, well, Reborn from DOTA II, and DOTA is still going strong. It continues unabated. The leagues are growing in size. and it, off the back of its other commercial successes like Counter-Strike and Half-Life, Valve now has a string orchestra at its disposal.
So the song that I chose, Reborn, is actually when Dota came up on its first major, when it got out of beta and went straight into like actual commercial production or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So they had their first major title update, and then you had to download a new client and everything. It was a brand new game entirely, like same game, same characters and stuff, but just a whole new like interface
standalone
and
experience.
Yeah, exactly. So Reborn was what they called it. It was called Dota II Reborn, and so this was their main, like the title track for the whole thing. Also, they also brought Deadmau5 in to make their own its own pack for the game.
Tim Larkin is definitely not Deadmau5, but he's had a long history in the composing for video games. Starting off with Riven, Uru, and Myst 5, so we're going back in time quite a while there. So him along with Jason Hayes, who plays a role in the Warcraft Oral Signature, put together the music for Dota 2, and we're going to now listen to the track called Reborn. Dota 2 Reborn, and I feel reborn after that one.
Yeah, that was epic. That was crazy.
It was very epic.
The next track is a bit more chilled out. Again, I was pretty sure that Dan was going to pick this one. Released in 2013 actually, on the PlayStation. The game made waves. What I remember about The Last of Us was that a lot of people that weren't traditional gamers were talking about it as though they were recounting watching episodes in a TV series. So it had a significant amount of cinematic presentation and a huge amount of emotional capital that people seem to invest in it. Strong presentation of women, strong female characters, desperate situations. And it's sold over 17 million units and won over 200 industry awards.
On par to be my number one game I've ever played in my life. Like, you feel it. Like, you feel the whole game throughout. Like, when you're actually playing the game itself, you're obviously in it. But then as soon as it cuts to like a cutscene, just insane things happen, and you feel for each of the characters, Ellie and Joel.
Composer Gustavo Santaolalla is, as I just mentioned, an Academy Award winner, and that was for Brokeback Mountain in 2005 and Babel in 2006.
Oh,
Yep.
true.
Yes.
With a lot of these Hollywood composers, if you listen to enough of their music, you will eventually pick up the threads, especially when they're doing soundtracks back to back. The first time that I heard it actually threw me right back to the HBO series Deadwood, and he does some music there, and you hear The Last of Us in that. And so to experience that, let's all listen to The Last of Us theme. That was the theme from Last of Us, and it gave as much as we promised, I imagine.
It's so good.
Well, we're coming to the end of this episode. We've only got one more track, and this one is the most recent track out of all of the ones that we've played. It's from the new God of War, which was released earlier this year in April, I'm pretty sure. And it's the 8th installment of the series. Sonny's picked this one, and you've been playing it?
Yeah, so I got it probably about a couple of months ago. The song that I've chosen is the intro for it. Super depressing when you listen to it, because the lyrics are I think pretty much a repetition throughout the whole thing. And just when you translate the lyrics, it is literally like encompasses what the whole game is about. The first lyrics are like a father's shame, a mother's hope, and a child in pain. But that whole intro thing just like kind of encompasses the morbid like atmosphere of the whole entire game, and I hate it. I hate everything that's happening.
And it's captured pretty well with the music. The score, Barry McCreary has put it together, and you're probably more likely to recognise Bear McCreary's work from Battlestar Galactica, Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles, and Outlander is a big one that's going on.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
but then the big one that kicked it in was The Walking Dead.
He did the.
And also the theme for Vikings, I'm pretty sure.
Wow!
After you did this game, you had to have
it sounds like he's the man for the job.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear some of that sadness with the God of War Overture main theme and potentially Memories of a Mother. Yeah, nobody's having a good time in that game. That's for sure. But we've had a good time, and we have run out of time. We've covered a lot tonight, and I'm glad we have. So, thanks so much, guys, for joining us on Diamonds in the Rough.
Thank you so much for having us, man.
Thanks for having us, man.
So it's Sonny and Florez from Get Sidetracked. Where can we find you on the internets?
So you can find Get Sidetracked on Instagram at Get Sidetracked, Get_Sidetracked, on Facebook as Get Sidetracked. You can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Castbox, and wherever else you get your podcasts from, we're there.
There's a lot of options there. All of the links are in the description below. Sonny, Florez, thanks for joining us.
No worries.
You've been listening to Diamonds in the Rough, the show where we listen to video game music from past to present and discover some hidden gems along the way, and we'll catch you in the next episode.